Welcome to Twisted Terrors. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Ethan and Marissa had always dreamed of leaving everything behind. No more city noise. No more neighbors just feet away. No more blinking lights from traffic. Alaska called to them like a promise, wild and untouched. After years of planning, they bought 50 acres of remote land, miles from the nearest road, deep within the towering spruce and endless silence. It was perfect. Too perfect. The trees were old, thick, and heavy with moss. The ground felt spongy beneath their boots, like it hadn't been stepped on in centuries. A small stream cut through the edge of their property, winding black and slow beneath leaning birches. They pitched their temporary tent on a rise of ground and decided this would be where their cabin stood, the start of their dream homestead. Ethan started swinging the axe first, chopping into a spruce that must have been 100 years old. The thud echoed strangely, carrying too far, like the forest was hollow. Marissa stacked brush into neat piles, but the deeper they cleared, the heavier the air seemed to grow. By the third day, Ethan noticed something odd. The roots of the trees twisted together in strange knots, curling like hands gripping the earth. Marissa found smooth stones buried shallowly in the soil, arranged in circles, almost deliberate. Probably nothing, Ethan muttered when she showed him. Glacial deposits, I guess. But he avoided her eyes. That night, while the fire hissed low, they both heard it, the crunch of footsteps just beyond the glow. They froze, listening. Then, silence. Probably a moose, Ethan whispered. But when he stepped into the dark with the flashlight, the woods were still. No tracks. No movement. Nothing. The next morning, Marissa woke to find all the brush piles they'd stacked scattered wide, as if something had torn through them. Branches bent backward, snapped in unnatural ways. "It's an animal," Ethan insisted, but his voice lacked conviction. That evening, the woods began to change. The silence deepened. Even the stream seemed to run quieter. The air smelled sour, like rot beneath the moss. As Ethan split more wood, his axe struck something that wasn't root or stone. It rang out, metallic. He crouched and clawed at the dirt until he unearthed the edge of a carved stone slab, blackened and slick. Strange symbols ran across its surface, weathered but sharp, twisting lines that hurt the eyes to follow. Marissa whispered, "Ethan, don't touch it." But he already had. That night, sleep didn't come easy. Marissa swore she heard breathing just outside the tent. Slow, heavy, measured. She pressed her hand over Ethan's chest, thinking it was him, but he was awake, eyes wide, staring at the nylon ceiling, listening too. At some point, the breathing stopped. In its place came a low hum. A voice? No. Voices. Many of them, whispering in a language that scraped the air. The walls of the tent shivered, though there was no wind. By dawn, they were both pale, exhausted, too afraid to speak of what they'd heard. The next day, the forest seemed alive in a different way. The trees leaned toward them, their bark etched with new grooves, curling symbols that hadn't been there before. The ground where Ethan had uncovered the stone was soft, pulsing faintly like a heartbeat beneath the soil. Marissa begged him, "We need to leave." Just for a while. But Ethan shook his head. "This is our land. We're not running off because of some weird rocks and bad dreams." That night, the voices returned, louder. Shapes pressed against the tent walls, their outlines too tall, too thin, bending in unnatural angles. When Ethan slashed the side of the tent open with his knife, nothing was there. Only the forest. Only the dark. But in the soil, just feet from their camp, footprints had formed. Dozens. Bare, human-like. Sunk deep, as if whoever left them had been standing there a very long time, watching. The whispers turned into words they almost understood. Leave. 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 On the seventh night, Ethan woke to Marissa's scream. She was standing at the tree line, barefoot, eyes open but empty, as though something had pulled her from sleep and walked her there. Around her feet, the stones she had found were arranged again, perfect circles glowing faintly in the earth. Ethan ran to her, shaking her awake. When her eyes finally focused, she gasped and collapsed against him, sobbing. They didn't stay another night. When they hiked out the next morning, the woods seemed to exhale behind them. The silence lifted. The stream ran louder again. But Ethan couldn't shake the feeling that the forest was watching, patient, waiting. Weeks later, when he looked at the photos on his phone, images of their clearing before everything had gone wrong, he noticed something that made his blood run cold. In every picture, just at the edge of the tree line, shadows stretched too far. Long figures standing among the trunks, figures that hadn't been there when he took the photo. And though they never returned, Ethan sometimes dreams of the land. In those dreams, the voices whisper, not leave, but come back. As always, thanks so much for watching. Your support is much appreciated.